they have adopted some of those ideas and are pumping those ideas themselves. So this is how pandemic. It's pandemic. It's not. It's an epidemic. It's pandemic. The problem is with these sort of ideas which come from this serpent seed doctrine. But the other side of the Christians who are not willing to give up on Jesus have got this problem where they say, well, I've been indoctrinated with this serpent seed doctrine, but I don't want to give up on Jesus. So where do I go from here? What do I do? And then suddenly they come across some form of apocryphal book, which they feel gives them the answer. There we go. This must be the kind of Jew that Jesus was and what he was talking about. I'm going to latch onto this book of Enoch. I'm going to latch onto this Zohar or something. And they feel there, Zoharism, that must be the kind of Judaism that Jesus was into. I am now not a hypocrite for hating all the other Jews who are not Zoharists. That's their way of thinking. They think now I am being rational and logical and accepting that Jesus was a Jew and promoting a kind of Judaism, Zoharism, for example, while being able to criticize all the other Jews who are not Zoharists in my eye, the way I perceive it, are all the synagogue of Satan. There you go, job done, happy now. So that causes them to adopt and create these fantasy forms of Judaism, which satisfy their need to rectify the contradiction in their mind that Jesus was a Jew, and yet their indoctrination that there is this serpent seed ideology that they can't let go of. It's so ingrained into them, they can't let go of it. So that gives them the solution that they think they've got the solution to the problem there. So they hold on to the Zohar, for example, the book of Enoch, or any other thing, which talks about this sort of the seed of the Nephilim being amongst the people. It's just racism, it's anti-Semitism, and it's looking for an excuse to try to hold on to this doctrine. You got to look at yourself in the mirror and say, do I believe in the Satan seed doctrine? Is that the explanation for these verses which seem to be against Jews in the New Testament? Or is there probably a way of understanding those verses in the New Testament which is actually not anti-Semitic, which is not making Jesus into a hypocrite when he says, you have the devil is your father, or your father was a murderer in the beginning, or the synagogue of Satan comments, or hypocrites, brood of vipers. How can you reckon the seed of the beware the yeast of the Pharisees? How can you reconcile that with the fact that Jesus was clearly a Jew, unless he was a self-hating Jew, or that there is some kind of seed of Satan amongst certain people, and some Jews don't have that, and Jesus was from the group who wasn't from that? How can you reconcile that? And the answer is very, very simple. Inside of Judaism, inside the Pharisee tradition specifically, we insult each other pretty badly. We insult each other pretty nastily when we say to each other, you're not following the Judaism properly. If you don't follow Judaism properly, you're a son of Satan. We can say that to each other, and it's pretty harsh and it's pretty nasty. And what Jesus was doing was very typically Pharisaical. He was pointing out to those Pharisees who say one thing and do another, saying that you're hypocrites and you shouldn't be following this way. It's very simple. That's the way of perceiving these words clearly, and also to understand when he talks about the verses like your father was a murderer from the beginning, to understand that all human beings on the planet descend from Cain. In the stories of the Bible, we all descend from Cain. You might say, hold on a second, no, Cain, we descend from Cain and Seth. But there are those verses, remember, which says that the sons of God came into the daughters of men, and children were born unto them, and that basically refers to the mixing of the tribe of Cain with the tribe of Seth. And the result were humans as we know them. Okay, so we all descend from a mixture. We're all mixed up. There are no such things as a pure lineage of, sort of Abel's seed. Abel was killed. He didn't have a seed. He stands for a spiritual type of person. And that spirit comes and touches the population every now and then and makes people into a kind of an Abel-like person. But genetically, physically, we are all children of Cain. We're all children, descendants of the Nephilim. And to deny that is to live in a fantasy world, to imagine that you are somehow pure and unique and special and untouched, and the Jews are the ones who don't think like that. Ironically, it's those who have this serpent seed doctrine who think like that, and they project their disgusting superiority onto the Jews and say they think they're superior because they never want to look in the mirror and say, actually, you know what? They never said that. I'm the one who thinks I'm superior. Why am I telling them and saying everybody that they think they're superior? Just to deflect attention